Okay, we should be good.
All right. It is 5 p.m. at Brexville Heights Education Center, 6638 Mill Road, Brexville. This is the annual organizational meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. The meeting will be live streamed on our district's YouTube channel. There is no public participation in this meeting. Item 1B, Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 1C, roll call. Greg?
Mr. Dosen?
Yes.
Mrs. Kramer? Mrs. Kwiatkowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Mack?
Yes.
Mrs. Wigman?
Yes.
Item 1D, resolve to appoint Mark Dosen as President Pro Tem for the January 5th, 2022 organizational meeting. May I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Dosen?
Yes.
Mrs. Kwiatkowski? Mrs. Mack?
Yes.
Mrs. Wigman?
Yes.
Okay, and for the public, at our last meeting, Ellen Kramer was approved as President Pro Tem, but she is unable to join us this evening. Therefore, I'm stepping in as President Pro Tem. Item 2A, oath of office. Again, Mrs. Kramer was unable to join us today, but for the record, Mrs. Kramer was given the oath of office by our treasurer and observed by our superintendent prior to this meeting today due to the fact that she was unable to attend our organizational meeting in person. This is permissible under Ohio Revised Code 3313.10. Craig, would you like to swear in Tish?
Yes. If you could please raise your right hand. You, Tish Kwiatkowski, solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Ohio, and that you will faithfully and impartially discharge your duties as a member of the Board of Education of the Brexville Heights City School District in Cuyahoga County, Ohio, to the best of your ability and in accordance with the laws now in effect and hereafter to be enacted during your continuance in said office and until your successor is nominated and appointed.
I will.
Yep, that's fine.
Welcome to the board.
Congratulations. Pretty exciting.
All right. Moving on with the agenda, item 3, 2022 board organization. Item A, president nominations. The floor is now open for nominations for board president this year.
To nominate Mark Dosen.
Does not require a second.
It does not require a second.
Nominate.
Are there any other nominations? Item 3B, board president election voting. Roll call for nominee Mark Dosen as president. Greg?
Mr. Dosen?
Yes.
Mrs. Kwiatkowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Mack?
Yes.
Mrs. Wigman?
Yes.
I am now board president. Item 3C, appointment of board president. President Pro Tem will now turn the meeting over to the new president. This is to resolve to appoint Mark Dosen as board president. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Craig, roll call.
Just move the
Miss-
gavel to the other side.
Mr. Dosen?
Yes.
Mrs. Kwiatkowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Mack?
Yes.
Mrs. Wigman?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Congratulations, Mark.
Thank you. Item 3E, 2022 vice president nominations. The floor is now open for nominations for vice president.
I'd like to make a motion for Ellen Kramer.
Ellen Kramer has been nominated. Any other nominations? Very well. Item 3F, Board Vice President election voting. Roll call for nominee Ellen Kramer. Craig?
Mr. Dosen,
Yes.
Mrs. Kwiatkowski,
Yes.
Mrs. Mack,
No.
Mrs. Wigman.
Yes.
Ellen Kramer has now been voted as our board vice president.
Congratulations, Ellen.
Item 3G, appointment of board vice president. Resolved to appoint Ellen Kramer as board vice president. Roll call. Oh,
Motion.
I'm sorry. Motion. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and seconded. Roll call.
Mr. Dosen,
Yes.
Mrs. Kwiatkowski,
Yes.
Mrs. Mack,
No.
Mrs. Wigman.
Yes.
All right. Item 3I, order of voting on motions and resolutions in 22. Resolved to approve the voting order as follows. The member order of voting shall be in alphabetical order with the exception of the board president who will vote last. Robert's rules of order shall prevail in determining all board meeting procedural questions. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and seconded. Roll call.
Mr. Dosen,
Yes.
Mrs. Kwiatkowski,
Yes.
Mrs. Mack,
Yeah.
Mrs. Wigman.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 4, Treasurer, CFO, and Superintendent's business. 4A is authorization of the Superintendent and Treasurer, CFO. Resolved to approve the full resolution below, which is a very long resolution. Craig, do I need to read through all that?
You do not.
Okay, so for the public, anybody who wants to know the full narrative, they can go into board docs. It's rather lengthy. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and seconded. Are there any comments or questions? I'm assuming Craig and Joelle, this is just standard protocol to approve you and your roles?
Correct. The only thing that was added from my perspective was the authorization for specific credit card charges outside of board policy when we met with Pat Corbin. He recommended versus changing policy. There are certain times because we get a rebate with the credit card that we use it for like a large purchase, like when we pay the workman's comp bill, which is somewhere usually between $150,000 and $200,000. We earn those rebates that go back to the school. So we are doing, that's the only change from last year that has been included in this. And that was his recommendation from Neola.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Roll call.
Mr. Dosen,
Yes.
Mrs. Kwiatkowski,
Yes.
Mrs. Mack,
Yes.
Mrs. Wigman.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 5, district administrative leadership. Item 5A. Resolve to approve the appointments of Board of Education representatives and committees on behalf of the district administration leadership. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. No.
Yep, no, we do need a second. So now we have is representative. So let me walk through these. There's 6 of them. And we have the board committee. Well, most of us should probably remember what we were on from last year. But the first one is transportation appeals. And I served on that last year. I'm happy to stay on the Board of Appeals unless somebody else has a burning desire to be on Board of Appeals.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. It can be.
Well, it may be next year opening up that new building. So
That's true. We may end up with more appeals than in the past. Okay, so I'll retain that position for board transportation appeals. The second one is representative to the PSO Council. I believe Mrs. Kramer expressed some interest in that.
she did. She thought of everyone on the board's schedule, she might be the most flexible to get to those meetings more so than anybody else. So she offered to take that role on.
Okay.
That's great.
Is everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Okay, so
Thank you.
we'll have Mrs. Kramer as PSO Council. Number 3 is legislative liaison person to the Ohio School Board Association. I don't remember who it was last
I
year.
believe that was Ellen as well
Yes.
last year.
Mhm.
Says it was. Snack.
I think it was Kathleen.
Oh, yeah, I think it might
Oh,
have
it
been.
was a
Kathleen.
very
Wrong line.
busy,
Yeah.
important year. I'm sorry. I was reflecting on the year.
That's okay. That's okay.
The ribbon that I didn't get.
Uh-oh. So who are we?
I'll do it again. No
Okay.
problem.
Okay. Number 4, the fourth one is Representative Drexel Broadview High School's Foundation, which Brittany, I believe was you. Do you
Yep,
want to
I'm happy
stay on
to
that?
retain that.
Okay.
Thank you.
The next one is Cuyahoga Valley Career Center, which the board had previously appointed Mr. Gilbride, who's still in that capacity. So I assume we're good there.
Is the cycle still 3 years? Or
I
did
believe
the
so.
Are you sure? The legislation didn't change back to 2?
I think we just approved him since I've been here as the
It's one
3-year.
full year, so we have 2 more. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
I would believe so, yes.
Okay.
The last one is Safety and Security Committee, which we had 2. Was it?
Fred and that one?
I think
Fred
it
and
was
Ellen.
Fred and Ellen.
I'll do it.
Okay, so we have Tish, and did Ellen say if she would like to stay on that?
She would prefer not to, I think, is actually what she said.
I'm happy to step in.
Okay. So Brittany, I think Brittany and Tish will take Safety and Security.
Just for your own planning purposes, we meet about 2 times a year and it's usually at 7:30 in the morning, just
Yep.
so you're aware.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions before we do roll call? Okay, roll call.
Mrs. Kwiatkowski,
Yes.
Mrs. Mack,
Yes.
Mrs. Wigman,
Yes.
Mr. Dosen.
Yes. Motion carries. Item 6, Board of Education Representatives. Resolve to approve the appointments of Board of Education representatives on behalf of the Board of Education. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so we have 3 positions to fill. The first is Financial Liaison Audit Committee. There were 2. I know I was one of them, and I think
I was the other one.
Kathleen. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm happy to stay on that committee.
Same.
Did you want to stay also?
Sure.
Okay,
Just for the purposes that everyone understands why these 3 are separated out, these are board committees versus just committees that board members are representative on that aren't considered board committees. So that's why the first list is having a representative there. These are listed separately because they're board and they're subject to sunshine laws, so they have to be noticed in a certain way. These 3, not the other ones. So just for a point of clarification.
right. Yeah, no, thank you for calling that out. The second one is Permanent Improvement Committee. I know Ellen and I have been on that. I do have an interest in staying on that committee. Did Ellen say if she wanted to stay?
She would like to stay.
Everybody okay with that?
Mhm.
Okay, and then the last one is Board Policy, which I think was Fred and
Fred and Kathleen.
Kathleen.
Yeah, I would like to see us have it later, please. Like not 4 o'clock. 4:30, 5 o'clock's fine if we can do it that way, but I can't swing that.
And we're happy to schedule in that way, but if the expectation is that our policy gentleman is there, I can't promise that he's always going to be available at those times, but we'll definitely try to do that well in advance to let him know that that's the wish.
Yeah. And he works for us. I mean, it's a simple ask. I mean, he works for us and we pay him, so.
Do we have a second person interested in board policy?
Do it. Or
Okay.
do you not want a newbie?
No, it
No,
doesn't
it's
matter.
very
Great.
well-versed. To start. I think
Yes.
it's a good one.
Okay, so Kathleen and Tish will take board policy. Any other questions or comments before we call the roll? Okay, Craig?
Mrs. Kwiatkowski,
Yes.
Mrs. Mack,
Yes.
Mrs. Wigman,
Yes.
Mr. Dosen.
Yes. Motion carries. Item 7, 2022 meeting compensation. Resolve to approve the I'm not on the next one. Resolve to set board member compensation at $100 per meeting effective January 1st, 2022. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
So just for clarification for the public, those who wonder, do board members get paid anything? This is the payment. It's $100 per meeting. So all of the other times that we spend on the committee meetings, going through email, meeting, whatnot, none of that is compensated. It's just $100 flat rate per meeting. And this level of compensation has been in place for a number of years here, so it hasn't changed. Any other comments or questions?
And traditionally, Mark, the compensation is only impacted by the following election cycle.
If we wanted to adjust this compensation level up, it would only affect after an election cycle.
Very
So
good.
if you re-ran and were re-elected, the new rate would kick in.
Got it.
Or if you were a new board member, it would kick in. We can't give ourselves a raise.
Okay, thank you.
Right. Roll call?
Mrs. Kwiatkowski,
Yes.
Mrs. Mack,
Yes.
Mrs. Wigman,
Yes.
You gonna
oh,
call me?
Mr. Dosen.
Yes.
I was doing so good by moving the president thing afterwards, so.
Okay, all right. Motion carries. Item 8, representation of legal counsel. Resolved to approve the following list of firms for legal counsel representation during 2022. Fisher and Phillips, Squire, Patton Boggs, Walter Haverfield, Gingo Bear, Venus Britton. Additionally, the Ohio School Board Association and the law directors for the city of Drexel and Broadview Heights may be used as appropriate. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
And just also a point of clarification, while we're approving these list of legal firms, we can also adjust this list throughout the year if we feel that there's a need. So it's not an exclusive list that we can't change during the year. But this is what the list that we have so far.
And these are the legal counsel that we used last year as well, correct?
Yes, they're all the same.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Sure.
In looking at the firms, can I be up to date on what we use each firm for mostly?
Sure.
And what areas?
I'll do the ones so Fisher and Phillips deals primarily with my office, and they do all of our tax, property tax situations that we deal with. Squire Patton Boggs is also mostly me. That's who we worked with for the bond refunding, or not the bond refunding, I'm sorry. Well, yeah, we did, because with John Larson, sorry. Is them, and then you want to talk about the other ones?
Walter Haverfield, we use mostly for special ed and just general, if there's a situation with a specific student that you're aware of. Gingo Bears, who we used for our negotiations process for all of our contracts this year, and Ennis Britton, we use them for Craig's contract and my contract.
Any other comments or questions? Roll call?
Mrs. Kwiatkowski,
Yes.
Mrs. Mack,
Yes.
Mrs. Wigman,
Yes.
Mr. Dosen.
Yes. Motion carries. Item 10. 2022 Legal Assistance
Oh, we're gonna
Fund.
do 9.
9.
OSBA.
Yep, sorry. Thank you. Item 9. Ohio School Board Association membership. Resolved to approve membership in Ohio School Board Association for the calendar year 2022 in the amount of $9,797. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
And so we've been part of the Ohio School Board Association for a number of years. Craig and/or Joelle, do you want to just comment about what they provide for school districts throughout Ohio and why it's important for us to maintain membership?
Oh, great. Me. So well, the fee is based, it's a flat fee for all districts, and it is based on the number of students that we have. So it's every school basically pays the same depending on the number of students they have. But they're a great resource. They do a lot of board trainings that's included at discounted prices. They put on the Capitol Conference, which is a great learning experience for treasurers, superintendents, administrators, as well as board members. And they do have additional benefits just for board members in general. That helps.
Yes, provide training for new board members. And probably out of the 608 school districts, most all belong to the organization too. So it's just a great networking opportunity too for other boards to be able to connect through the Ohio School Boards Association. So really like a very high level professional learning opportunities for board members.
I believe, don't they also offer some lobbying services for school districts? So when new legislation is being considered at the state level, they will lobby on behalf of all of the districts in Ohio.
Yes.
That's correct. Okay. Any comments or questions? Roll call.
Mrs. Kwiatkowski,
Yes.
Mrs. Mack,
Yes.
Mrs. Wigman,
Yes.
Mr. Doso.
Yes. Motion carries. Item 10, 2022 Legal Assistance Fund membership. Resolved to approve Legal Assistance Fund participation with Ohio School Board Association for the calendar year 2022 in the amount of $250. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any commentary on this? I know we deal with this every year, but again,
Yeah, because the $9,797 isn't enough. They charge another $250 to provide any legal assistance should the board find themselves in any type of litigation. So it's just an extra level of attorneys use that we have outside of our own personal attorneys.
Is there any price that goes over that 250, or are they gonna provide the support for that 250? You know what I mean?
Well, I'm glad to report we've never had to use it, so I don't know the answer to that.
They
That
some-
is good.
they sometimes serve as a liaison too, like if with our attorneys and OSBA, like sometimes they'll confer with each other
Okay.
to get more expertise if needed, and they do that just for the same fee, like they cover it.
any other comments or questions? Roll call.
Mrs. Kwiatkowski,
Yes.
Mrs. Mack,
Yes.
Mrs. Wigman,
Yes.
Mr. Dosen.
Yes. Motion carries. Item 11, appointment of staff. Resolved to appoint the following staff for 2022 staff positions: Title IX Hearing Officer, Director of Human Resources, and Director of Pupil Services; Anti-Harassment Grievance Officer, Director of Human Resources, and Director of Pupil Services; 504 ADA Compliance Officer, Director of Human Resources, and Director of Pupil Services; Civil Rights Coordinator, Director of Human Resources, and Director of Pupil Services; Homeless Liaison, Director of Pupil Services; Suspension Appeal Officer as designee for the board, Director of Human Resources. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Has anything changed on this from prior years?
The only thing that has changed is that it's recommended that we have both a male and a female representative in each of these areas. And so we've just added in some places where it has been the Director of Human Resources in previous years, just that position, we've added the Director of Pupil Services as well.
Okay. So what would happen if we had a staff member leave throughout the year and the new hire was the same gender as the other position?
We would go through and have to come back to the board and reappoint a new person in that role.
Any other comments or questions?
I have a question. So that makes sense to me that you've got the two serving. Do they have, is the responsibility split or not? I mean, are they gonna work together on any 504 issue, or is it going to be, like Ms. Tomasetti is gonna work on this, or Mr. Wyckoff would, handle things in
Sure.
certain areas?
So in many cases, like in that example,
Yeah.
the Title IX mostly falls to Brian, but if there was an issue where there was a request from a parent for someone of the opposite gender to do the investigation, then that's where it would fall. So that's why we've identified a male and a female in each of these roles.
Okay.
But he pretty much takes the lead on the Title IX hearing. Mrs. Tomasetti would take the lead on a 504. So they have split these duties. We have to name that backup person just in case there's a request for that.
Okay.
And both have gone through training in all of these areas so that they're able to function in these roles should they be called upon.
And then my next question is with the hearing, so whatever the last one is. 'cause I
Yes.
can't remember, the hearing suspension, appeal officer, has that always been Director of Human Resources? Okay.
Yeah, so in my role, I hear all expulsion hearings, and if there's ever an appeal to a suspension, it is heard by the Director of Human Resources.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Roll call.
Mrs. Kwiatkowski,
Yes.
Mrs. Mack,
Yes.
Mrs. Wigman,
Yes.
Mr. Dosen.
Yes. Motion carries. Item 12, 2022 District Records Officer. Resolved to recognize the Treasurer, CFO, and the Director of Pupil Services as District Records Officers, DRO. The individuals in this position will also serve as the Brexville-Broadview Heights Board of Education designees in this regard. May I have a motion?
So moved.
So just as a point of clarification, so when people make public records requests, this is the position that would satisfy those public records requests.
Correct. We're hoping 2022 is not as fun-filled as 2021.
Not as active.
I guess I should say. But I take the lead on that. Mrs. Tomasetti would be a backup for that.
Is the Director of Pupil Services in this instance an additional add to the previous year, or has this person always been in place?
It's been the same.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Roll call.
Mrs. Kwiatkowski,
Yes.
Mrs. Mack,
Yes.
Mrs. Wigman,
Yes.
Mr. Dosen.
Yes. Motion carries. Item 13, alternative tax budget fiscal year 2023. Resolved to adopt the alternative tax budget for fiscal year 2023. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Craig, you want to give us a little summary about what this is
Sure.
about? I know it's something we do every year.
It is. It's something we do every year. This is due to the county auditor's office by the 15th of the month. And it's basically just setting up what we believe could be our ending cash balances at the end of the year and what kind of starts our certificate of estimated resources for fiscal 23. So they do this as a check to make sure that we don't have any negative funds that are projected or anything like that. So it's more of like an exercise versus reality, I guess. So we try to put as close to numbers as we can to these different areas of the budget. So it's kind of what it is.
Very good. Any questions or comments? Roll call.
Mrs. Kwiatkowski,
Yes.
Mrs. Mack,
Yes.
Mrs. Wigman,
Yes.
Mr. Dosen.
Yes. Motion carries. Item 14, district support organizations. Resolved to recognize the district support organizations listed below in accordance with board policy 9211. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
For clarification, these organizations would be the Parent School Organization, PSOs, Parent School Organization Council, Band Boosters, Orchestra Boosters, Vocal Music Boosters, the Athletic Boosters, Brexville-Broadview Heights Schools Foundation, Brexville-Broadview Heights High School Speech Team Boosters, Brexville-Broadview Heights High School Robotics Boosters. Any questions or comments? Roll call.
Mrs. Kwiatkowski,
Yes.
Mrs. Mack,
Yes.
Mrs. Wigman,
Yes.
Mr. Dosen.
Yes. Motion carries. Item 15, 2022 Board of Education meeting dates. Resolved to approve the 2022 Board of Education meeting dates. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
So that the list of all the meeting dates is posted in this agenda item if the public wants to see it. And I think it'll also be on our website, district website. Mostly it's, what is it, the last Wednesday of each month?
Well, fourth Wednesday.
Fourth
I think, is
Wednesday.
normal.
Fourth Wednesday, 7 o'clock is the standard, although there are a couple of adjustments when we get around holidays.
The attachment only,
I can't see it, so
the Wednesday, May 5th or 25th. What am I looking at? My Wednesday, May 25th. All right, never mind.
Okay.
We're good. Forgive me.
the March 23rd is not during spring break for the district, correct? The week before.
I think it's the week before.
Okay.
Yes.
Clarifying.
And all other meetings called throughout the year are not regular meetings, they are special meetings.
Correct.
Right. And, there is always a possibility we may move a meeting if we have conflicts or there's a need to move a meeting. But all public meetings are noticed before. So if we make any changes to our meeting time or place, that will be communicated to the public. Any other comments or questions? Roll call.
Mrs. Kwiatkowski,
Yes.
Mrs. Mack,
Yes.
Mrs. Wigman,
Yes.
Mr. Dosen,
Yes. Motion carries. Item 16, closing items. Item A, resolve to adjourn the meeting. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Anyone have any comments or questions on adjourning our meeting?
Happy New Year.
we'll be back here
Happy
again.
New Year. Roll call.
Mrs. Kwiatkowski,
Yes.
Mrs. Mack,
Yes.
Mrs. Wigman,
Yes.
Mr. Dosen.
Yes, that concludes our meeting. We will be having another special meeting which will start in about 5 or 10 minutes if you want to dial in and double your fun. Thanks, everyone.